and I think, let's see what information I'm getting here from our friends. Just a second. I know that we're not going to be casting tonight the finals, guys. It's going to be too much. It's going to end too late, unfortunately. So we might get the second semifinals, but the finals are going to be definitely not casted today. So I will try to get the second semifinals, and if we can get the second semifinals, I'll cast that, and after that we're going to be running into. We're going to leave the finals for tomorrow. Now guys, I know that a lot of you would like me to cast the finals today, but the problem is that it might get really long. It's best of 5. I don't know yet who are the 2 players, but it would be too heavy for me, so if anything I'll cast the second semifinals and we'll leave the finals for tomorrow. Maybe we will get even a co-caster or something like that, so okay, just a second. I'm going to get the... Yeah, we will be casting today the second semifinals, so just a second. Alright, so this is going to be eOnzerG versus Trutacz. It's going to be our second semifinals, and the first game is going to be on Jade. It's going to be a ZVZ. So let's first introduce the players, then we'll see about the map and everything else. So we have, as the red Zerg, it's going to be eOnzerG playing from the top left location on Jade. And his opponent is going to be minus trutacz as the white Zerg at the top right location. So, ZVZ, definitely not the... It's not the most loved matchup, but it has a lot of interesting things to look at. There's a lot of things that are important, mostly. We all know that it's mostly about Zerglings and Mutalisks. However, there are small things that a lot of players need to know when they're playing ZVZ, so the matchup is definitely action-packed, and it has a lot of skill involved into it. Now, both of these players are very well known, very good players, very good foreigner players, so we will see exactly what they decide to do. Now, first things first, are they going to go expansions? Are they going to get early pulls? This is the first question usually that we have to ask. Now, in theory, we all know that for something like, for example, we see eOnzerG that is going to go for a 9 pull, and at the same time we have another 9 pull from Trutacz. Now 9 pull versus 9 pull usually is the most action-packed game, and whoever maybe doesn't control the Zerglings too well or something like that will have the problem of losing the game. It's a lot more difficult to play this kind of matchup because small mistakes are actually always important. In other matchups you can take away like something, you can lose maybe 1 or 2 zealots, you can lose a dragoon hero there, usually not in the early game, but a little bit later is not that bad. In ZVZ, since there is almost always very small economies, it's almost always very small amounts of units, it's always very difficult and always very important not to make any mistakes. So 9 pull versus 9 pull is, interestingly, the first question that we need to ask is lair or speed? That's the first question. And the reason why this is really important is because the player who will get speed first, if there is one player that goes speed, we see eOnzerG going for speed, and we see, okay, so both players are going first for speed. Usually the player who gets lair first is in a little bit more trouble, has to be a little bit more defensive, and make sure that the other players' Zerglings do not catch him off guard, while at the same time, the player who is going... okay, whoa, we do see lair already coming down. Okay, so speed was cancelled by Trutacz, and as we can see, he's already putting his links in a good defensive position, while eOnzerG has decided to keep speed and at the same time going for lair later. Now, the timing of the lair is actually, it's pretty close. In theory, you should be able to get your mutas to defend against your opponents, but it's still going to be interesting. Now, seems like eOnzerG is a little bit indecisive because he was trying to go to this position and then he's coming back. That's interesting to me because he went speed first, which... Did he cancel speed? No. So in theory, he should at least put a defensive concave at the top of the ramp, perhaps even attack with a few Zerglings and try to break this position, although it's going to be quite difficult because of how good the concave is by trutacz. Now let's see. We see 2 Zerglings kill 1 against 1, so the trade is even so far. See, this concave so far is very good for trutacz. Very difficult to fight 2 Zerglings against 1. We see eOnzerG is really trying to find a way to do this, but yeah, trutacz is having none of that. Look, he even repositions the damaged Zergling against this one. Now bear in mind that this seems like the most easiest thing to do, but bear in mind that if you like open the door and these Zerglings, like 5 of them run through at that moment, that's a huge problem. See, every time he has to close the gap because trutacz didn't get speed. And because now he has speed, but he didn't have speed for a while, and if some Zerglings run in, they can actually snipe some drones, which would be devastating. Because of all of this, oh, actually the trade is now going better for trutacz. He's changing the damaged Zerglings for full HP Zerglings, and eOnzerG is still trying to get something out of this, but so far nothing is coming for him. Now we see the Spire is pretty close to completion, and eOnzerG's still a little bit far behind that. Oh my god, and it seems like trutacz made a little bit more Zerglings, and suddenly he actually breaks the position. Now, this should be something that eOnzerG should be able to stop. However, with the Spire already finished and the mutas coming, the problem here is usually that the mutas shouldn't be a problem because you get your own mutas. But if the mutas fly in a little bit too early, they can snipe a few Zerglings, and then your opponent's Zerglings are really, really powerful. Now, this is still okay so far because the Sunken is about to finish. Is it going to finish in time? Oh, 1 drone? No. Oh, yes, 1 drone does go down. So, a drone goes down, gas mining gets stopped for a few seconds, and at the same time, the mutas... Ah, no mutas, it's Scourge, Muta. Okay, so we see that Scourge is first, and they will probably try to camp these eggs. Yep, one pretty good hit, but that's it so far. And we see that eOnzerG is taking an expansion. That's pretty crazy considering that he knows his opponent already has mutas. At the same time, trutacz did get another hatch, but so far as if you look at the fact that this drone is actually even going to this hatch, so far this hatch isn't even really that important. Is it? I think this hatch could probably be placed here. Yeah, I think it's a little bit off place, but anyway, the hatch is done a lot earlier for trutacz, so definitely he can kind of like he can get a better situation on larva amounts, but it's still gonna come down to mutas. Now we have 4 mutas here, and I think it's only 3. Okay, it's now 4. But there's a lot of Scourges here, and oh my god. So trutacz is going to dive in against the mutas, and at the same time keep flying in the Scourges, so that every time that the mutas from eOnzerG stop, they're actually getting hit. And because of that, we see a clear win for eOnzerG on, for trutacz on air. And with that win, he's just gonna, he's decided that there's no much reason to just try to find this muta, fight it. Just better to kill the overlords and then fly in and kill drones. And with that, most likely this is going to be it. Just a few drone kills should be enough. And there we go. So trutacz will take game number 1 on this game, in the second semifinals. Now just